My name is Betty McBride and I'm Director of Policy and Communications for the British Heart Foundation. The British Heart Foundation was very heavily involved in the Every Breath project, which came to us because it had as its core theme the use of animals in medical research. And for the BHF, that's a very interesting subject area. We're a medical research charity, and something like half of the research that we fund involves animals. And it is clearly a very interesting area, but it's a very complex area and something that we are very interested in talking about with the general public. I think for the British Heart Foundation, getting involved in the Y touring and the Every Breath project was a bit of a leap of faith, really. It's a conceptual offer, isn't it? That if you engage with the public through drama, through working with children in schools, through presenting a case in a completely direction neutral fashion. Is that going to work? Is that going to do the deed for you? It was a bit of a leap of faith for us, but I think it showed us just how brave we could be. When you witness bravery in others, I think it's, if you're receptive, I think it starts to inform the way you behave generally. And the BHF is, I think, known to be open-handed and even-handed about its willingness to discuss the fact that we fund medical research that does involve animals. I think for people like me who don't live in the dramatic world, it was an eye-opener of an experience. I got involved in the advisory board for Every Breath, and that involved looking at scripts and being part of a sort of Sophie's choice of a process, because actually you see very good quality pieces of work. It's not as if you're looking at a field of races where there's a clear winner. They were excellent scripts I was looking at, and the one that was selected eventually by Judith Johnson was for me, I think the thing I liked about it most was that it took a sort of almost EastEnders approach, like, you know, those EastEnders storylines that last over weeks. Every Breath took that story strand and put it into one sort of encapsulated drama, and it was just an amazing way to talk to people. I found out later that she was a Grange Hill scriptwriter, so clearly she ran true to form there. I think so I'm going to start this sentence again because it's quite important. A principal reason why the Every Breath script and why the other projects that Y Touring has run with, the principal reason that they're so good is they take a basic fact and turn it into reality, which is that if you give children a breadth of information and passion and entertainment and an outlet to talk about what they think, they will make really quite intuitive and logical decisions at the same time. And I think that that's a magic bullet, that the idea that you can combine a breadth of information with passion, with entertainment, is a magic formula. It worked well. It worked well. I think people might be surprised to know that actually, particularly with issues like the use of animals in medical research, people like me actually think that to take the counter view is a completely understandable viewpoint. I do see it as an ethical issue where people of right mind can come down on either side of the fence. As it happens, I'm very firmly on my side of the fence, which says that you can't, at the moment, have medical progress without the use of animals. So I was less shocked by the Y touring process than you might think. Having said that, an environment which brings together people of opposing views and says that we can take all this different colour wool and knit a coherent jumper with it is something that is a learning experience which stays with you in other areas of your life. So I think that as a model is it's a knock your socks off model, isn't it? That you can get people to think of a way forward rather than constantly defining what makes them different. You're actually saying we can get into the same half hour or hour drama space and still make sense together. Well, I think the key to Every Breath's success would be it was a stonking story. It resonated with the children that were watching it. And I do think there's a chemical reaction that goes on inside Why Touring. I don't quite know what it is, but there's a something. There's a something that adds an energy and an enthusiasm to the projects that Why Touring work on that ends up as something that you feel like you're somewhere. When I saw the first production and the treatment of it, the fact it was a really entertaining session, and people felt it was leisure time, it was off time, they were watching something that they were enjoying, and then the switch comes and afterwards there's a discussion which all the kids got involved in. So it was that, learning through stealth moment, and I just think that that's a heady mix, really. The plot involved a boy who had asthma, who discovered that his medication could only be developed using animals in medical research. And I think the key to the success of that theme was that actually every young person watching that could empathise with that, could see how they might feel if that had happened. And I think that's was Judith's strength in picking up the theme, actually taking a very big topic and actually making it seem really, really personal and first-hand. I work in the charity sector. We are absolutely dependent on public support for our very existence. And an informed public is a public that supports you through thick and thin. From a charitable perspective, I'm not interested in trying to get money out of people without telling them exactly who we are. So that's one area. There's other areas that Why Touring have been involved in around stem cell research, where the same sort of things apply. If you have a general public and a young population who actually understand the nuances of real life, they contribute better as they grow up. And certainly from a voluntary sector perspective, if your donor public understands what you do, they'll be with you thick and thin. I think if you take a theatrical approach to debates, you add that essential ingredient, passion. If you add passion to knowledge and information and balance, I think on the website they call it stickiness. Passion gives stickiness, I think, and I think those children who saw Every Breath and other Why Touring productions they'll never forget that. They'll never forget what they saw, and also they will never forget the process, the combining of information and balance and passion. They'll never forget how they joined those dots together, and I think that's a life lesson. I would think that the USP of Why Touring, if you like, is the combination of passion, balance, and information. Accurate information. I mean, one of the things that I remember from the Every Breath process in the old days in Fleet Street, they used to have old-fashioned sub-editors who used to say there's only one mantra in journalism, it's check, check and check again. And Why Touring checked, checked and checked again, so that everything was absolutely accurate. And I think that's a fantastic basis for the work that you do. I think it is a very effective form of engagement because it combines, as I say, the entertainment of theatre with a really rigorous learning process. And I think, I'm not sure if you're going to be talking to teachers, but I'm sure that they would echo what I say, that those two things together are potent. On a personal level, I did gain from it because I was part of a script reading selection process, which is outside my normal life. So I absolutely gained from it, and I also think that this reaffirmation of the potency of bravery, if you like, that you can say pretty well everything as long as you do so with balance and are prepared to hear the other points of view. That was something that stayed with me. I'm going to talk from a child's perspective, which is unusual because I think you're going to go to children to get their views. But I would say that why touring, and if I get the science wrong on this, you'll have to put me right through another why touring production. Why touring is a heavy water of an offer because it seems on the surface to children to be something that is the bit of the curriculum that isn't double maths and French and chemistry, whereas actually the things that they're learning in that period are of seeing a wide touring production is education with a capital E, and it really, really is why they've gone to school.